Hey guys, so this vlog is going to be looking at fashion trends and the way we fit our own personal styles into those trends. So at the moment, it's kind of streetwear juxtaposed with really high-end fashion. It can be really difficult to fit your own kind of fashion sense into that. And I think it gets quite confusing as to whether you do like them or you don't, whether it suits you or it doesn't, but you kind of get caught up in the trend. So we're going to look at a few today and kind of discuss a little bit about them. Alrighty, so to start with the leggings. So as winter's approaching, people start to wear them more and more. I personally have a strong dislike of them, especially when worn as pants. I think if you're exercising, it's fine. However, what I don't like about leggings is the way in which it just shows all too much and they're extremely unflattering. And I think because everyone else wears them, people think it's okay to wear them, but I think we all are kind of on the same page anyway. Leggings, no go. Platform sneakers. So I don't know if any of you guys have seen the collaboration between Puma and Bad Girl Riri. So it's by Puma and Fenty, and they're kind of there are either some fluffy slides or there are some platform sneakers which I'm personally really into. As a shorter girl, I think that extra little bit of height works really well. It's casual, it's comfortable. I think the one problem with these is that should they be black, they're a little bit like creepers and I don't think they're ever a good thing. Next is the miniskirt. Miniskirt's one of my personal favourites. Reminds me of women's liberation. Well, doesn't remind me, I wasn't there, but he's basically a product of the 60s. It can kind of be traced back to either a London designer or a French designer, and it was at a time where people were working a lot with women's rights, women's liberation, and I think the miniskirt is a really good example of that. So ideally, the rule is that the bottom edge has to be roughly halfway up the thigh, and it cannot sit more than 4 inches below the bum, which I think is really cool. And I just think miniskirt's always pretty flattering, so I enjoy that in all seasons, in all times. The turtleneck. Obviously, I adore them. I think they're really flattering. I think that especially in winter, when you're covering up a lot, I think it's still a nice way to have a little bit of shape. It's a little bit feminine. I really enjoy them. I think it works for all shapes and sizes. Fun fact, it can be traced back to medieval times. So although it was much more kind of high-end fashion than maybe it is today, but the turtleneck has been around for a really long time. And I think it's a kind of timeless piece. Next is the flared jean. So assuming that anyone watching this was at least born in the 90s, I think it's safe to say that we can't get rid of the flared jean. Historically speaking, the flared jean was based, was kind of founded in naval uniforms. It was easier to kind of pull a man back if they fell overboard for their flares, if they had flares on. I'm not sure how much of a difference that would actually make, but that's the reasoning behind it. And they also are easy to pull off when they're wet. Practically, I'm not a fan of the flared jean. I do like the look, but on me, as I'm short, I think you need a longer leg. I think if you're short, the flared jean doesn't really have the same streamlined effect as it does on a taller person. The overalls. The overalls were first made by Levi Strauss in 1873, and then they kind of became a uniform for kind of the everyday labourer. Now by the 90s, they kind of came swinging into fashion. I think a good example of that is Rachel from Friends. There's even a Rachel cut of overalls. I personally really, really like them. I think they're great for summer or winter, long or short. I have worn them pretty much all my life, so I guess you could say they're almost timeless. The micro bags, the pom-poms, and the key rings. Personally, I find it infuriating. Cute, yes. Practical, not at all. And I'm not sure why anyone would wear them. I mean, I take a billion things when I go out with me, and I don't understand how you can fit all of your things into one of those micro bags, let alone your phone. Our phones are huge these days. I was on the Gucci website before, and there was a keyring for $615. And I think that really brings home my point. It's ridiculous. Bodycon. So if you're familiar with the Kardashians, you would be familiar with bodycon. The way that it works is it's just a dress, figure hugging, really tight kind of bandage sometimes. It's made out of lycra and polyester so that it's kind of a really smooth, tight fitting dress. Personally, I feel naked wearing them. I think it shows everything that I don't want to be shown, but I also think that bodycon is hugely personal, so I don't really want to make a judgment on it, but it is something that has just taken over, and I'm not sure that it'll last. But personally, I am not a fan of bodycon. So that's just some examples of a few trends of now that should hopefully help you in the future for kind of looking at, what you're wearing, what other people are wearing, and always remember that, just because other people are wearing it, you don't have to. So think about what you like, think about what suits you, because you know what, it's all going to keep changing. Thank you.